Started.
Hello.
Hello.
Me. Okay, that's India. So, everyone, since there's not a lot of us, we all need to contribute. Topic of discussion: Meditations, the reflection of Marcus Aurelius was the emperor of Rome, 161 to 180. Comes about 100 years after Nero, who was tutored and advised by Seneca, right? So meditations consist primarily of short statements and brief reflections. Share 2 top 5 lists with the class. The first describing and explaining what it means to be a Stoic, and the second consisting of those that are personally meaningful to you. So let's go ahead and make our lists.
Wow.
This
is good.
Personal. Anyone have a Stoic? Yes.
Okay, from book 1.
Book 1, section 1.
Section 8 and section 15.
8 and 15. Okay.
In these sections, I found to remain, it says, to remain ever the same in the face of severe pain after losing a child or during long illnesses. And so I thought that emulated Seneca's philosophy of sort of grounding yourself in more than what you own, so that you can remain like unchanged and stable in the face of hardship. And then in 15, to be a master of oneself and never waver in one's resolve, to be cheerful when ill or in any other predicament, the example of a character marked by a harmonious blend of gentleness and gravity. So it's kind of like emulating the Stoic philosophy of like just being sure of oneself so that you can get through it.
That's good. Did anybody else also put that on their list? I know I did.
Me too.
I was close to it.
I put that on my list too.
Anybody else? Katie,
Oh,
do you have one?
I'm trying to find a quote, but
If you have like a personal one you want to share instead, we can move over there. Just give me some.
okay. So to accept one's lot in life.
Oh yeah.
I don't know where that is exactly, but
I have a lot of those actually.
Yeah, I got one of those for you. I think it's in book 4.
Yeah. There's one in 4. If y'all go to 4.3, actually.
4.3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are a lot that like specifically say lot, but this one I really liked because it's on page 20. It says, remember to retire into this little territory of your own, and above all, do not distract or strain yourself, but be free and look at things as a man and a human being. I just thought that retire to this territory of your own kind of went along with like the self-sufficiency and like this is your lot, this is your thing that's going on. So if you find one that specifically says a lot, let's add it up here too. But I'm gonna put that one because I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, I got one for retreating to yourself. He talks about on book 4, section 3, page 23. He says, people seek retreats for themselves in the countryside, by the seashore, and the hills. And you too have made it your habit to long for that above all else. But this is altogether unphilosophical, when it's possible for you to retreat to yourself whenever you please. For nowhere can one retreat to greater peace or freedom from care than within one's own soul, especially when a person has such things within him that he is merely to look at them to recover from that moment of peace of mind. So he's just talking about the ideal place to retreat into is your soul. Find insulation there.
And also, in 3.6, there was a line that said, so this is page 15, it says, if you find in human life anything better than justice, truth, temperance, fortitude, blah, 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 if you see anything better than these things, turn to it with all your soul and enjoy that which you have found to be the best. But if nothing appears to be better than the deity that is planted in you, so that's kind of like talking about your lot in life too.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting the way that like Stoics see God as like inner and outer.
Yeah, 'cause he really emphasizes the notion of stoicism with the gods acting in the universe. On book 2.3, page 10, he says, Providence permeates the work of the gods. The works of fortune are not disassociated from nature. They are intertwined and interwoven by all that is ordered by Providence. Everything flows from there, the necessities implicated to the benefit of the whole universe of which you are part.
Actually, I think that brings up a good point. Like, what's the difference between like providence and the gods? You know?
Yes, his providence permeates the works of the gods, and that has an asterisk next to it. Asterisk, and you can find that somewhere. I'm sure. I'll look for it. Continue though.
I don't know. Does anyone have anything to add to that? I think we can come back to that later. Y'all also have like stuff you wanted to add to the list.
Yeah,
Did you?
I have one for personal that I feel like applies to all of us probably.
Okay.
In book 1, I think like section 4, he says that because of his great grandfather, he was able to not have to go to public school, and that he had like good teachers at home, and that education was
But
like
like, where is that from? Sorry.
1, I think like section 4.
Okay.
1-4. Yeah. And that he got to like have a good education, and that's something that people should like find worthwhile and spend money on. So like obviously we spend a lot of money to come here, and also like by coming here we're putting our education first, and like that's a value that he says that we should have.
This whole first book is all about thanking his predecessors and contemporaries, and does that influence his work and his ethical principles and such.
I have 1 or 2 for the stoic thing. In book 1, section 16, it says, with regard to the gods, to be free from superstitious fears with regard to people, support public favor by seeking the please at any price or pandering the mob. Never like so. I just thought it was interesting, or like how it related to stoicism, because like it's saying to not be afraid of like death or the gods, which is what it said. And then also in the same section 16 on page 7, it says, it was not his way to take baths at unreasonable hours, and he was not overfonding of building, and he attached little importance to his food, or to the fabric and color of his garments, or to the attractiveness of his slaves. So, like, just emphasizing on how, like, the materialistic things in life aren't important at all, and we should be detached from them.
Yeah, that's weird. Going along with that, to add to to like please people, in book 4, section 20, it says everything that is in any way beautiful is beautiful of itself and complete in itself, and praise has no part in it, for nothing comes to be better or worse for being praised. And I think that goes along with being self-sufficient and being beautiful for the sake of being beautiful instead of for the recognition from humans.
Then to go with back to the notion of it connects to the gods acting within you, like 2.6 and 2.3, and also it coincides with those two sections, and it's from book 2, section 4, on page 11. He's talking about I'll read it. It is now high time that you realize what kind of universe this is in which you form a part, and from what governor of that universe you exist as an emanation, and that your time here is strictly limited unless you make use of it to clear the fog from your mind. The moment will be gone, as you are gone, and never be yours again. So he's talking about not only just seizing the moment, but also identifying your inherent nature, the innate qualities you share with the universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually one of the ones I chose as like personal meaningful to me. is that one about seizing the moment. I like how he just relate. I mean, this isn't important at all, but I just like the imagery that he uses, and he does that a lot. Metaphors like that, which I think is really beautiful. The idea of life as like a cloud, this fleeting thing. Anyways, did anybody else have anything that was personal? Then we've got a lot of them here, and we should definitely keep adding to it.
Add the seize the moment one.
Yeah?
Yeah. So personal. I like it.
I really liked in section, book 3, section 4, near the end of it on page 18, or from 17 to 18. And he says, "What are you thinking? Like, what are you thinking of?" In the quote. You could reply in all honesty without hesitation of this thing or that. So make it clear at once when you reply that all within you is simple and benevolent, or worthy of a social being who has no thought for pleasure, or luxury in general, or contentiousness of any kind, or envy, or suspicion, or anything else that you would blush to admit if you had it in your mind. So that kind of really,
What's that?
page 18, book 2, section 4, the bottom. He's talking about how we should be thinking a lot and internalizing things. So that kind of, what's the word for it? Clarity, not clarity, but I can't remember what it would be. Just clear sense of thinking. Transparent.
One of the ones that I liked was in book 3, section 4. It was, do not waste what remains of your life in forming impressions about others unless you're doing so with reference to common good, for you're depriving yourself of the opportunity for some other action which may be of real benefit. So I just really like that. I don't know.
Why do you like? What do you take out of that? Like in one word, or even in more? I mean, just like, is he saying like don't judge others, or just like don't even like think about other people?
I feel like he's saying like don't like necessarily like judge like what other people are doing isn't affecting you at all in any way. And I gave like multiple examples of that.
Yeah.
And so he's just saying like be concerned with himself because like at the beginning of the book he was saying I don't know.
I kind of have a quote that has to do with that. On book 2, section 6, it says, "For the life of every one of us lies but the moment, and yours is almost done, and yet you have no respect for yourself, and allow your happiness to depend on what passes in the souls of other people." So he's saying, not concern yourself with other people's souls or business. Just focus on your own.
Yeah, that's really good. He did say that a lot.
And then book 4, section 18, he says, "What use of the mind a person gains if he casts no eye on what his neighbor has said, done, or thought, but looks only to what he himself is doing to ensure that his own action may be just and holy and good in every regard. Do not look back to examine the black character of another, but run straight towards the finishing line, never glancing to right or left." I thought that was interesting, and it went along with like being concerned with yourself, but not only to neglect what other people are thinking, but like in order to focus on like bettering yourself. So like not to be distracted by others, but also like, focusing on
Just like extremely relevant to Seneca saying when he's talking about like living in the bathhouse, he's like none of that bothered him because he had peace internally. He wasn't disturbed by anything outside.
Yeah. Amy,
Yeah.
what's on your mind?
So I was gonna go back to what was it? Like living in the moment. I can't remember the quote right now. But it's talking about how like something kind of like touched on this that like the past is in the past and the future is in the future and you can't like if you want you shouldn't like want to live longer because that doesn't matter. The present is the present, and like the amount like the length of your life isn't relevant. Like living in like present is a goal. I think it's in book 3 somewhere.
That's what you find personal.
I think it's yeah.
Yeah, there's like 2 other times where he's talking about, he's like a direct example of these 2 guys' lives. One saying how you could live as like some Norma live short, and then there's like some other person who like long. And he was just saying how comparatively all they have though it's the same thing, which is the present. So by them dying, either one is an infant or one is an old man, it doesn't matter since they both share the same like possession of having the present.
Did Seneca write that? Didn't he say something about how babies aren't rational creatures? So is that kind of like contradicting Stoicism in a way? I mean, I guess he wasn't claiming that it was like rational. I guess it's just like another metaphor he was using. But it's interesting that they both used babies, like in reference to like, the beginning of life.
Yeah, it talks about that's in letter 124 where he's talking about reason, how there's no reason in animals and infants. I don't have an exact part of that. It's like 272, section 272, I think, that letter.
Well, like speaking of rational animals, something that I really liked was book 3:9. I think it's really specific to this class too. It says, "Revere the faculty that produces opinion. This faculty determines whether there shall exist in your ruling part any opinion inconsistent with nature and the constitution of the rational animal. And this faculty promises freedom from hasty judgment, friendship towards men, and obedience to the gods." Like especially the revere the faculty that produces opinion, because I think a lot of times we suppress that in ourselves maybe. At least I don't. I mean, I struggle with that sometimes. But like our voice is what makes us free, and our opinions are what makes us different.
That was
That's
9.
beautiful.
A Tumblr quote. Right? This is like this whole thing. Tumblr.
And then Amy, there's page 20, book 3, section 10 is like a really good example of what you were saying. That whole part of it.
Wait, what page you?
20, book 3, section 10. And then two things to go back and forth. I kind of intertwined with the tenet of Stoicism and something personal. So one that I really liked in section 17 of book 2 on page 15, it says, in a word, all that belongs to the body is a stream flow. All that belongs to the soul, mere dream and illusion. And our life is a war. Brief stay in a foreign land. And our fame thereafter, oblivion. And then he immediately goes into saying, so what can serve as our escort and guide? One thing and one among philosophy. And he gives a whole spiel on how it's really important. And that, I think, really coincides with Seneca. Talking about how philosophy is something that we should all pursue and study. That's probably I'll find it. Yes.
Oh, sorry. Am I wrong that when we read Seneca, it said something about like, don't do anything that like you wouldn't want your enemies to know about, like live so that you don't know anything that your enemies don't know about you. Okay, we read something that said that it was either Epicurus or Seneca, which are different things. So I hope it's Seneca. But in here it says, never value anything as profitable to thy. I have a different version than y'all, so it's in book 3 somewhere. Never value anything as profitable to thyself, which shall compel thee to break thy promise, to lose thy self-respect, to hate any man, to suspect, to curse, to act the hypocrite, and to desire anything which needs walls and curtains. So like, don't do anything that like you don't want everyone to know about, which I think is kind of a good thing to think about at Rhodes because everyone knows everything. So I don't know, I found it applicable.
I found a quote in Meditations that kind of it's kind of like that. It says, okay, it says when someone asks you what are you thinking of, you can reply in all honesty without hesitation of this thing or that, and so make it clear at once from your reply that all within you is simple and benevolent and worthy of social being who has no thought for pleasure or luxury in general, or contentiousness of any kind, or envy or suspicion, or anything else that you would blush to admit that if you had it in your mind.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, like don't even think anything that you don't want other people to know.
Yeah.
Or at least only think of things that are honorable.
Yeah.
I'm moving away from this topic. Is that okay?
Well, and Kristen,
Yeah, that's fine.
sorry.
No.
Well, I was kind of just gonna bring up something else anyway, but I just found it very interesting, like
Anyway.
how big of an emphasis that he puts on the God. And in book 2, section 11, it's like, why should I care to go on living in a world void of gods or void of providence? They do exist, and they do show concern for human affairs, and they have placed it wholly within the power of human beings, never to fall into genuine evils. And besides, if anything were bad for us, they would have taken measures to ensure everyone would have it in his power to not fall victim to it. So I found that very interesting, and like book 2 is all about what? Oh my gosh, was about like nature being like good, like all things about like, and on the last page is book 2, section 16. It's like, for this in accordance with nature, and nothing can be bad that accords with nature. So we were talking about nature and stuff. So I just thought it, like, if you guys thought it was different how he was talking about the gods so specifically than like the Seneca in his letters, because I thought that was more about like the soul, like just still existing after life, and this had a lot more to do with that.
Seneca says how the divine are active in our world, but it seems like Marcus is a lot more specific to it and like really emphasizes it a lot.
He like directly thanks the gods on several occasions, where Seneca did not. He was like, oh, over there. What were you gonna say?
I'm gonna like change topics, and this is like more of a personal thing I liked. Is how he kind of like to treat everyone with like love and like welcome everyone, even though they might not have the same views as you. So I have like 2 different quotes. On page 22, book 3, section 16, it says, "To love and welcome all that happens to him, and is one from for him as his fate." I thought that was like really cool. And then also in book 6, it says in section 48, it says, "God in your heart, think of the good qualities of those around you, and the energy of one, for instance, the modesty of another, the generosity of a third." And that's if like someone doesn't like necessarily agree with you, and kind of like instead of getting like upset or like angry, I guess.
Yeah.
So like just to welcome them.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Amelia?
Sorry.
Did you have something that you wanted to?
I was gonna say, so I have once again a different version from y'all because mine's on the internet. But so in book 3, section 16, did you just read that? Section 16, book 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's a little bit different in this one. If I'm reading those Roman numerals quickly, which I think I am. It says to steal, to sow, to buy, to be at rest, to see what is to be done, which is not seen by the eyes, but by another kind of sight. What these words mean and how many ways to be understood, they do not understand. The body, the soul, the understanding. As the senses naturally belong to the body. That's what I found interesting, is that he said the senses naturally belong to the body. And I don't know if he means like the physical body or what, because there's like a lot of controversy about the physical body and the soul and the senses, because like, you know, the Epicureanism, you know, sense perception, it's all about, you know, touching things, I don't know. Yeah, your 5 senses, and like they're very physical and tangible. And so he says, and then senses naturally belong to the body and the desires and affections to the soul. And so is that what Seneca believes, or does he believe everything belongs to the soul? Do we know?
Is there not an answer?
Anyone?
I
No?
can like read you maybe the equivalent of what it is in the
Uh-huh.
book. So it's at the beginning, it's the first like line. Body, soul, intellect, for the body, sense impressions, for the soul, impulses.
So that's like the
intellect,
opposite.
judgments. It's like really choppy, so I don't.
That's weird, because you said sense and soul perceptions to the soul.
I really don't know how to like interpret this like sentence.
Yeah, that's the problem with these
It's
different.
like
My
body,
bad for
comma,
having
soul,
a different
comma,
one.
Intellect, colon, like sense impressions, and then comma, or semicolon, It's so much. I don't know how to.
Okay, so
answer it,
just
but
like that's just something
yeah.
that he started to bring up, you know,
Yeah.
the senses and the body and the soul and all that dogma stuff.
Right.
It's
It's interesting how like they categorize it into like 3 groups instead of just like body and soul.
Yeah.
And perception of something different.
its own thing.
Yeah.
Didn't he say that once your body disappears, like your soul, you lose sense perception?
This guy or Seneca?
Yes.
I know Epicurus thinks
Epicurus was just like,
yeah.
you done.
I don't know if it talks about that.
Well, what do y'all think personally? Maybe like when he says like sensations going to the body, to the soul, appetites, to the intelligence, principles, which is also in there. Like that almost sounds kind of like Freudian, you know what I mean? Like the appetite of soul and all of that. I don't know.
I know at least Seneca in his, I just went back to the notes. Letter 65 talks about causes. It says how so he's more set on separating, like on stressing the goodness of the soul and the like just being enslaved to your body. Because he says how in the letter in letter 65 how the 10 for one's body is the church liberty. In page 1 of 3 of letter 65. I'm not sure about the section. And he also says, human spirits cramped in life, but of liberty and death. So, I don't know if he actually goes in depth as to sense perception, like Epicurus does. But his main thing, I think, is differentiating between the soul from just, I guess, the person that the body.
I think that he's trying to say that without perception, we don't really have like anything to experience, and like the soul has a natural inclination to like form opinions based on what we experience. He says like things. Firstly, that things of themselves have no hand over mind, but stand motionless outside it, and that all disturbances arise solely from the opinions within us. And then down the page it says the universe is change and life mere opinion. So like we naturally form opinions, and that's what creates the experience that we have. But I'm not sure like what he means that.
I just kind of answered your own question. I wrote in my notes and then and kind of like Amelia's too. So without like semicolons and like commas and stuff. Okay, so he attributes sense impressions to the body, impulses to the soul, and judgments to intellect.
Mine says principles
It's-
to intellect.
Maybe it's both.
This is section 16 of both. I think that's what it's trying to say.
Do y'all have the same version?
No. Oh,
Also,
yeah.
like going along with that, I feel like this, like in the one, section 10, it says, for when a person, it's talking about like when somebody gets angry and like which way is like better to get angry. It says, for when a person loses temper, he seems to turn his back on reason with a kind of pain and unconscious rending of the heart. But when he offends through appetite and is overpowered by pleasure, he somehow seems more licentious and more unmanly in his wrongdoing. So, I feel like he's saying like, so like when you're like making judgments, like that's like your intellect, because like if you're like trying to like intentionally hurt somebody, like that's worse than if you're like kind of doing it just like out of
Wait, no, anger?
yeah.
So, like, just like,
So that's
Yeah.
what I think. Wait, where was it? We talking about again? 316.
yeah.
So like when he says, for the body sense impressions, for the soul impulses. So like anger would be like an impulse, and then like the intellect or like intentionally hurting somebody.
Like actual malice. It's
Yeah.
Just like losing your temper. It's like common impulse. It's like wrath isn't as bad as like sadisticness.
Right.
Maybe in like
the last couple minutes, do y'all want to talk about death a little bit? Because he does talk about death, if anyone has specific. Because I think it's really in line with Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius. I can get us going with, if we go to book 3:3. Yeah. He says, what does this mean? You have embarked, made the voyage, and come to shore, get out. If indeed to another life there is no one of God, not even there. But if to a state without sensation, you will cease to be held by pains and pleasures, and to be a slave to the vessel, which is as much inferior as that which serves its superior. And the one that is intelligence and deity, the other is birth and corruption. I think that's really interesting. Like, he's kind of calling Epicureanism out and saying, like, well, if it's all about the life that we live now, then we're a slave to our lives and our, the sensations of the world. And so if we believe in the afterlife, then our body, too, is free from those kind of, temporal worries, I guess. And that goes along with Seneca's harbor metaphor. Boom. If anyone has that and wants to read it out loud, that would be really cool. I mean, that's all I really had to say. If anyone else had something that he might have said about death or so, I guess that was a bad thank you.
In book 4, section 5, it says, "Death, like birth, is a mystery of nature that is by no means something of which one should be ashamed, for it conflicts neither with what benefits a rational creature, nor with the principles of his constitution." So he kind of incorporates it into the natural process of life. And then later on in book 4, section 48, he goes on to say, "Reflect constantly on how many physicians have died after knitting their brows again and again over the beds of the sick, and how many astrologers, after foretelling against others as though death itself were some great thing." And he kind of just says, no matter how incorporated you are in your life, I guess, no matter what you do, death is inevitable, so you never feel just accept it.
Boom! Good point. Bye. Bye, India.